In the Middle East, U.S. warplanes pounded Houthi rebel targets in Yemen over the weekend. The Trump administration also warned Iran to stop funding their proxy army or suffer consequences. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more.
Dozens of U.S. airstrikes and missile strikes on Houthi targets over the weekend in Yemen left at least 50 people dead, the rebels claim. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz says Houthi leaders are among the dead.
This was an overwhelming response that actually targeted multiple Houthi leaders and took them out.
The attacks came after the Houthis warned they're about to start hitting ships in the Red Sea and other nearby waters again. Since the start of the war in Gaza, the Houthis have disrupted global shipping and cost billions of dollars with attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea. They've also targeted U.S. warships. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Fox News.
4 months ago, when we sent a ship through, it was shot at 17 times. Ships haven't been able to go through for over a year without being shot at. Freedom of navigation is basic. It's a core national interest.
On Truth Social, President Trump declared, "No terrorist force will stop American commercial and naval vessels from freely sailing the waterways of the world." Trump also warned Iran to stop backing the Houthis, writing, "Beware, because America will hold you fully accountable, and we won't be nice about it." U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says America is doing the world a favor.
What we can't ignore, and the reason why the president mentioned Iran, is because the Iranians have supported the Houthis. They've provided them intelligence, they've provided them guidance, they've provided them weaponry.
The Iranians are defiant, claiming the U.S. and its allies are panicking in the face of Muslim nations standing together. The Houthis warned they will retaliate and claim to launch drone and ballistic missile attacks against a U.S. carrier in the region. But the Navy denies the attack and said they did not come near any U.S. ships. As for the war in Gaza, President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, laid out a proposal for Hamas to free up to 11 more hostages in exchange for more Palestinian prisoners. But Hamas's reply has been rejected by both Israel and the U.S.
I'm not going to go into the specific details of what made it unacceptable. I think there's an opportunity for them, but the opportunity is closing fast.
Witkoff said of the terror group stalling, Hamas is making a very bad bet that time is on its side. It is not.
What happened with the Houthis yesterday, what happened with our strike ought to inform as to where we stand with regard to terrorism and our tolerance level for terrorist actions. And I would encourage Hamas to get much more sensible than how they have been.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now for more. Welcome, Chris. Chris, what's Israel's reaction to the U.S. attack on the Houthis?
Well, before I get to that, I just want to say happy St. Patrick's Day, Andrew, to everyone listening as well. The reaction, there's no official reaction. I just heard from the Prime Minister's office, and they said there's no official reaction. However, Israel is on high alert right now for a possible attack by the Houthis. I just came back earlier today from Tel Aviv, not far from where a Houthi drone wounded about 16 people not too long ago. And since October 2023, Andrew, Houthis have fired at least 200 missiles and about 170 drones against Israel. Most have been intercepted. And Israel, in the meantime, has hit key infrastructure at least twice in Yemen. But as I said, no official reaction right now from Israel.
All right, there's Israel's take. What about Iran? What does this attack signal to Iran itself?
Andrew, I don't think this could be any clearer. And it says, don't support the enemies of the U.S. or global shipping. And some people may say, you know, to Iran, you're next. There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new administration that's not afraid to use military action when they feel it's necessary. And I think the U.S. right now is going to be there as long as it takes to make sure the Houthis no longer pose a threat to either U.S. warships or global shipping, and remind some here of how President Trump dealt with ISIS during his first term. He changed the rules of engagement. He decimated ISIS's leadership, and ISIS lost 100% of its territory of the caliphate. And I think this is sending a clear message not only to the Houthis, but Iran as well.
Chris, in Julie's report, she featured Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and he warned Hamas it should take note of the U.S. response to the Houthi terrorists. How might the U.S. take action against Hamas?
Well, they might take military action, Andrew, in coordination with Israel. But, Andrew, the sticking point has been and continues to be the fate of the remaining hostages. And they hold a leverage. That's the Hamas, a leverage that it holds. The threat to kill all the hostages. Military action resumes. And many here are hoping, as President Trump has said, they'll be held to pay for what Hamas has done and is doing. But also there's many people here and around the world appealing to heaven for all the hostages to be free.
Yeah, Chris, there's so many players, so many leaders and nations involved in all that's going on in the Middle East. So what do we know about the Hamas response in the hostage negotiations that angered Witkoff himself?
Well, they're publicly saying one thing, that they're flexible. Privately, they're making impractical demands. Hamas is insisting that phase 2 starts and the end of the war, more Palestinian prisoners, more aid, withdrawal from a strategic corridor. But the U.S. and Israel are saying they want to extend phase 1 with more hostages to be released.
All right, Chris, thanks for joining us. And with all that's going on in the world, we also wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day, Chris.
Thanks.